Hey everybody, it's Kelly Cooper and welcome to another Facebook Live video. Today I want to talk a little bit about managing your energy in emotionally challenging times. Like when shit's really hitting the fan, you're in it. You're having a response to what's happening where primarily you just feel shitty, right? You're worried about something, you're really upset about something. I've had that experience in a couple of different ways. I remember many years ago, I lost pretty much all my money. I had one major source of income that I became too dependent on. It basically went away overnight, and I just literally had no income, living off credit cards, very stressful. A couple of years ago, I manifested a really scary health issue out of nowhere. I was in an intense amount of pain chronically for an extended period, and physical health stuff, right? Stuff like I'm talking about, that kind of stuff where it's really like you're really focused on your external reality. What's happening is really, you're really getting sucked into it, and you feel terrible basically. As a conscious creator, these sorts of experiences, there's a lot of opportunity there, because the more shit you're dealing with, the more you're being invited to release. And you can really work miracles with your energy in these times if you're willing to see it that way. You have to be willing to see it that way. A lot of perspectives that are beneficial to us, a lot of spiritual wisdom and all that stuff, right? To our ego mind, it's annoying and we take offense at it and we're like, how dare, you know what I'm saying? You want to try to keep these perspectives at least in the periphery of your mind, maybe to ease your suffering just a little bit. Like I said in one of my most recent videos, these perspectives can be really annoying and even anger you, especially in more challenging times. But it doesn't make them any less true. And we can keep choosing to look at things the way our mind looks to, where we get to feel bad till things get better and oh my God, woe is me. And you can have those moments, it's okay, you're human. But just recognize the more you cling to your mind's perspective of things, especially in challenging times, your suffering will be compounded exponentially. But anyway, the first thing I want to say is, especially for us conscious creators, when you're really in the thick of stuff like that, you have to do this anyway, but especially in these moments, you must prioritize your general emotional well-being and emotional healing over just trying to get the shit you don't have. That's painful in any energetic space. Even if you're just kind of run-of-the-mill, life is okay and you just want to improve, it'll kick things up a notch, it'll be painful even then. It'll be really painful in these circumstances because you're in all this pain and you're even more clinging to the outside changing to feel better. And the worse you feel and the more you're in that space, again, your suffering just gets compounded exponentially. So it doesn't mean giving up on what you want. It doesn't mean giving up on trying to manifest the money to fix your financial situation or manifest the healing so you can feel better physically, or whatever the problem is that you feel like needs to be fixed. But dealing with your shit is paramount in these sorts of circumstances. If you're in this immense amount of pain and all your energetic work is just to get money or just to change something physically or just to get a new boyfriend or just to get your ex-boyfriend back and all that stuff, again, that's where the suffering comes in, because what's happening right now isn't actually the cause of your suffering. It's the emotional response you're having to it. It's the story your mind is telling about it. It's your mind projecting into the future, thinking you're going to continue to feel this badly for God knows how long. That's where the suffering comes in. Trying to get stuff you don't have, generating your positive emotion and emotional working on your shit, not for the sake of it, just to feel better, but again, just as a means to an end, just to get something you don't have. Again, suffering. So you have to surrender to these circumstances. Surrender does not mean resigning yourself to them. Your mind hears this idea of surrender and it thinks of it as like, well, just give up and, make the best of what's happening now and accept it. And forget about, don't try to change it, just this is your lot and just deal with it. No, surrender is not about giving up on changing your circumstances. It's not about giving up on trying to manifest certain things you want to see in your life. It's giving up the fight. Because as many of you have seen, the way the mind works with unwanted circumstances, especially when they're more intense and they're causing a lot of negative emotion, again, your mind just cares about making your pain go away. And it's going to really dig in its heels on that method, that mode, especially the more pain you have, the more it digs in its heels about pain minimization. That you're in a fight with the world, you're in a fight with yourself. all you care about. You can't bear your feelings. You can't bear what's happening in the moment, and everything is about just getting out of this moment and getting to somewhere else emotionally and circumstance-wise. And you see that that fight is very, very painful. And when we start to understand more about the role of energy and how it influences our physical external experience, we see how fighting against what we don't want. Jennifer, hello, my love. How are you? You see, from an energetic perspective, fighting against what you don't want, it continues, you continue to exist in the reality where what you don't want exists. And again, our mind gets very annoyed at these perspectives, you know, because it clings to our suffering, it clings to all our shitty beliefs because it created it. And it gets very offended when people suggest you shouldn't feel this way, how you feel is wrong. But again, it doesn't make this stuff any less true. So you have to make these decisions in these moments, whether you keep clinging to your mind's perspectives that just increase your suffering exponentially, or you look at these perspectives from these more spiritual, personal development type ways of looking at things, how spirit would see what's happening and go with that. So the surrender, again, it's not about giving up on the change. It's not about resigning yourself to what's happening. It's giving up the fucking fight. If you keep fighting against everything, you're just going to manifest more things to fight against. If you're in a fight with the world will bring you a fight in all shapes and forms, with people, with your finances, anything. In that energy, there's countless things you can manifest to keep that fight going. So just surrender to what's happening. The only way you can surrender is you're like, okay, this is what's happening right now. I don't like it. I don't like how I feel. Like, I remember when I had my health issue, it manifested in a matter of days. My body was just, oh, hi, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Like, when you go from being totally healthy and fine to not giving a second thought to opening a bottle of water or walking up the stairs, and all of a sudden I'm in this chronic pain and I can't get out of bed some days. That was hard. I was like, what the fuck is happening to my body? But fighting it, that's what was happening at the moment. Why this manifested, I don't know. That was part of my journey, was seeing what was being mirrored back to me. But I surrendered to it. I couldn't exercise. Again, there are days I could barely get out of bed. I could barely move. It sucked. I would cry. I'd have emotional breakdowns about it. But there was a part of me, largely, I was surrendering to it. Because I'm like, this is the reality I'm dealing with right now. Same thing with my finances. Yeah, I had moments where panic, terror, I felt terrible. But at the same time, I was like, this is my reality I'm dealing with right now. Something in my energy, I created this experience. A way I was focusing, my beliefs, something lent itself to this experience showing up for me. And as much as I hate it, this is the reality I'm dealing with right now. I'm physically sick. I broke. I'm this, whatever, right? So you surrender. Again, it's not about resigning and being like, well, maybe this is just what's going to happen. I better get used to it. No, you're giving up the fight. You're not giving up the change. You're not giving up on the stuff you want. I promise you, you never have to give up on your precious stuff. I know your mind gets very nervous at all these things because it makes it sound like you're pulling away from your precious stuff that you want to manifest. There's no reason not to have the money, the boyfriend, the better health, the weight loss, the new job, whatever you want, right? But when you're in a circumstance where the emotional charge is very high, you got to surrender and you got to prioritize your emotional well-being and your healing of all your shit that created whatever you're dealing with right now. And don't not blame yourself for creating it, but recognizing there's something in my energy that I created this experience somehow. It's not punishment for my negativity or my negative beliefs or my fears or my limited thinking. It's just neutral feedback of my energy. And again, you can fight it and be like, I don't like what's happening. I hate it. I want it to change. Or you just fucking lean into it. You see the feedback. You see what's being mirrored back to you and you deal with the emotion. And when I mean deal with your emotion, I mean really deal with it for the sake of dealing with it, not just to get something you don't have. Of course, when I was sick, of course I wanted healing. I wanted my body to feel better. I felt terrible. It was terrifying what was happening to me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Not having money, living off credit cards. That's not ideal, especially I had serious debt problems in the past, and going back into debt triggered a whole lot of shit. It was uncomfortable. I felt deep shame. It was terrible. These things were really triggered lots of stuff, but you have to feel them for the sake of getting them out of your system, not just to get stuff you don't have. Is there a little kernel of you that's always going to be wanting to affect outside change, especially when you're feeling super, super shitty and your mind is really digging into the fact that your circumstances need to change to feel better? Of course, you're a human. There'll always be that little ego part of us that's like, I just want to get something. I want to get something I don't have. I want to change the outside because I think it'll make me feel better. That's fine. You don't have to totally eliminate that part of yourself. You probably won't be able to. But you would be amazed at how much you can genuinely move into a space of doing this work for the sake of true inner transformation, true healing, true unloading of all the shit that led to all the stuff you don't want to deal with in your life right now. That really can become your primary motivation, because you start to understand that energetic transformation, you have no choice but to manifest change in your life. Kind of like what I was talking about in my video yesterday. You'll always be creating as long as you have a pulse and you're living and breathing. You can't not manifest stuff unless you fucking die and you're not here anymore and your energy is not being put out into the world anymore because you're dead. You're always going to be creating. So when you start to realize that the stuff comes anyway, the circumstances will have no choice but to change, you really can predominantly top of mind predominant energetic motivation to make these changes, especially in times when you're dealing with something that's really, really challenging for you. They're just feelings. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to kill you. You'll survive. Let them out. Cry, be mad, whatever. You don't need anyone's apologies. You don't need anything else to do this but yourself and your own willingness to do it. You don't need anything to change on the outside. You don't need to engage anybody else about it. You could if you think it'll help, but you'll know. But it is. Feeling your feelings, we overcomplicate this. We think there's some way to do it right or wrong. We're so in the mode of, I just want to get my stuff. I'm so afraid I'm not going to get what I want. We just want to do it as fucking efficiently as possible, just so we can change our energy as quickly as possible. Again, why? So we can get our fucking stuff. And again, it's okay to want what you want, but especially in moments where you're really, really feeling emotionally challenged, the pain of just trying to do all this just to get something else, to get something you don't have now, because you think it's going to make these feelings go away. It's, again, the pain of that is just, it's torturous pain, and you don't need to put yourself through all that. The problem is not what's happening right now. No matter how intense the emotion is being triggered by what's happening, still your emotions beyond the surface level of the response to your mind's chatter about what's happening, everything you're experiencing right now is not because of what's happening, no matter how serious or how whatever it is. It's triggering something deeper. The situation triggered something inside. And the more that's being triggered, again, the more you're being invited to release. And if you can surrender to the circumstances, you can surrender to the feelings and not see them as your enemy anymore, and getting in the way of your happiness and getting in the way of all your stuff because you're not being positive, you're looking at them in a completely wrong way. Your feelings, they're just messengers. They're showing you how you're focusing right now. They're showing you your beliefs, your predominant feelings about what's happening, your predominant perspectives, your predominant image of yourself. That's all your feelings are doing. They're not there to torture you. They're not there to fuck with you. They're not getting in the way. They're showing you the way. But again, you have to be willing to accept these perspectives in the face of your mind taking great offense at them and wanting to roll your eyes and be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Again, you're human, especially when you're feeling more like annoyed and charged. Yeah, these perspectives, they're going to be very irritating. But again, it doesn't make them any less true. And we're always going to be faced with a choice. Do I buy into these perspectives that will actually get me where I want to be, that will actually ease my suffering and help me? Or do I keep just deferring to my mind that takes offense at them and thinks they're annoying and they're hippy-dippy and they're unrealistic and they're this and they're that? You can do whatever you want. You're an adult. Like, no one can make these choices for you. You can believe whatever you want. You can look at your situation however you want to look at it. But the way your mind looks at everything, it's never going to be good. It's never going to make you feel better. It's only going to make you feel worse. It's only going to keep you stuck. And this is really, again, this is all the stuff I'm saying applies to anything in life, no matter where you are at energetically, but it's just more important when you're in circumstances that are really emotionally charged and you're really in the thick of them. You're really having a hard time looking past them. Like, again, a physical health challenge. That's hard sometimes. Your body feels shitty. Finances, the stuff that triggers a lot of deep-seated fears, your primal lizard brain survival shit with money, right? You think you're just going to like die without money. Yeah, you have to prioritize well-being. Again, that's general vibe management. Do whatever you can to feel better. Yeah, if saying an affirmation or doing something specific to your health or your finances, if it feels good to do that, by all means do it. But that cannot be the bulk of the work you're going to be doing with your energy in these sorts of states, because it's just going to make you more focused on that you don't have these things. You're doing most of this stuff from a place of tension, and it's not actually making you feel better. Once I saw that I was able to make these changes in my life without having to do that stuff, I was very happy, because I personally don't like doing all that stuff. I'm not saying it has no value or it doesn't work, but for most of us, it amounts to nothing more than useless busy work. It's not helping. And again, the bulk of in these situations, the bulk of energetic transformation is not going to be from trying to think more positively and focus more positively. Yeah, of course, that's an integral part of it, but the bulk of it is going to come from dealing with your shit. Like when I had my health problem, for example, it triggered massive fear in me. I saw so many things being mirrored back to me. It did not take me long at all to see why I manifested this problem. It was like clear as day, pretty much immediately. And I saw a lot of stuff I've been holding on to. It just had built up on kind of in the background, and I was ignoring it. And my feelings were like, okay, like you're not dealing with us. I'm going to kind of fucking force your hand here, because now you have no choice but to deal with us, because you're in such pain right now and such emotional distress that you can't suppress these emotions anymore. It's not even an option. And we don't have to get to that point, but for a lot of us, that's where we're going to be. And this is probably what's happening in your situation if you're experiencing something like this. This emotion, this energy, it's probably been building. You kind of like, yeah, I'll deal with you later, or you kind of claimed you dealt with things that you didn't really deal with, and again, it was kind of simmering in the background, gaining steam. The manifestations were probably getting a little nastier and a little bigger and a little more emotional, but then still you're like, no, I don't really want to deal with it. And then boom, something happens, you lose all your money, you manifest a health problem, some big thing happens, an accident, where you're just like forced into the space. So if you've been forced into the space, then make the best of it. And again, you're being presented with a really, really good opportunity. Again, this is the eye roll. Our mind's like, oh, fuck that kind of perspective. But again, doesn't make them any less true. And you have to choose which perspectives you're going to mind filter versus spirit filter. Look at it through the level of the mind. Your life will never change, really. Your energy will never change because your mind won't let you. You'll never make the changes and adopt the perspectives that you need to, because your mind is like, no, fuck that. Or how would spirit see what's happening right now? Wow, you lost all your money. Yeah, super stressful for human you, but wow, the shit you'll get to work through to improve your finances, you'll probably never have money problems ever again. You could end up making more money than you've ever made, because you're going to deal with shit that now you're forced to deal with because your circumstances forced your hand. So that's what happened with me with health. That's what happened with me with my finances. Stuff had been building. I didn't deal with it. So like I said, for a lot of you, the bulk of the energetic transformation, it's not going to be the positive thinking. It's not going to be the fucking workbooks and affirmations. Again, if you find that stuff helps you do it, it's going to be dealing with the shit that led to these situations manifesting. That for most of us, that's the dealing with our shit. It's a straight shot to everything we want. That was for most of us, what's standing between your precious stuff you want and where you are now is just the shit you're not dealing with, because that's what created all the stuff you don't want. It's not that you're not being positive enough, or that you weren't clear enough with the universe about what you want, or on all that stuff, right? You just have stuff, energy, shit that is just not being dealt with. And if it's not being dealt with, it still dominates your vibration. It's very simple. You know, we overcomplicate this stuff a lot. And especially with big, heavy, emotionally charged situations, there's a lot of shit there. Or else you wouldn't be having the responses you're having to what's happening. You'd be like, okay, yeah, whatever, it's a challenge, but I'll deal with it. But the more strongly you're responding, the more shit there is there to deal with. If you just let yourself deal with it, the situations will change. You know, stuff will change without you even having to do anything about it. Or if there's something you can do, that inspiration, that solution will come to you in this more relaxed, energetically neutral space. Because right now, too, with not dealing with the shit, if that's where your energy, if that's what's dominating your energy, even the simplest, most obvious solutions to your problems will elude you. I'm sure you've all had this experience before. You were really stressed about something and you just couldn't figure out what to do, and you just relaxed a little bit, you chilled, you walked away, you were like, okay, I'm not going to worry about this, and a solution came to you that's like, oh my God, that is so fucking obvious. How did I not see it? You couldn't see it. Your energy wasn't a match to the solution. You were only a match to the problem. So again, even the simplest solutions right now will elude you. The most obvious things, you'd be like, how the fuck did I not see that? You can't see it, because if you're not in the energy of the solutions can't manifest for you. Again, even the most simple, obvious things will not enter your brain for even 1 second. So yeah, strong emotion. You have to prioritize dealing with the shit, not trying to get the stuff you don't have, not trying to raise your vibration. Yeah, all of that stuff at some point, you'll do all of those things. It's fine. But if there's a lot of shit there, let it out, because if you don't, it continues to dominate our vibration, our mind. It's like, it's so simple, but it's almost like we're so, like, our reluctance to deal with our shit borders on mental illness in and of itself. And it's like, we want to avoid it so badly, we'll do anything to keep this information out of our brain, and we don't want to see it. It's like, no, I don't want to deal with that. Let me just figure out an affirmation, or let me try this workbook, let me try this new program. And from that space, you'll never manifest the stuff that works, because that's the solution's not doing those things. It's just dealing with your stuff. If you're upset today, cry. If you're feeling angry about something, be mad. Fucking punch a pillow, yell, whatever. Huff and puff, sulk, do whatever. If you're feeling really frustrated about something in your business, for example, and you've been trying to be all positive, like, yeah, I visualize clients and money, but what the space you're operating from is deep shame and severe frustration at your lack of progress and your lack of money, you got to let yourself feel that shame, feel that frustration. You denying your feelings does not benefit you in any way. Somehow your mind thinks that this will work somehow, but it does not work. And again, they're just feelings. They're not going to kill you. They're just, yeah, you don't like feeling that way. I don't like feeling that stuff either. I'd rather be happy all the time. We all would. But you got to accept, again, you just got to make peace with where you are right now. And make peace with the emotion. Because here's the thing, if you don't fight the emotion, if you don't criticize it, you don't judge it, you don't see it as something you shouldn't be feeling or whatever, that's where the suffering comes in. The feelings themselves, even more intense feelings, when you strip away all of that, they're actually quite manageable, and they're really not that bad. Yeah, you still feel the pain, you still feel the whatever, but again, you're not suffering with it. The suffering is, I don't want to feel this way. I want to try to make these feelings go away. I want to change my circumstances so these feelings will go away. That's where all the suffering comes in. I'm just going to try to change my energy just to get what I don't have. Because here's the thing. If you just try to change your energy just to change your reality, whatever positive emotion you generate, it's not genuine, it's very shallow, it's never going to stick. Positive emotion, if it's not the actual goal, you can't achieve a goal that's not the actual goal. You'll never actually feel better, because again, it's conditional. You're doing it as a way to get something, and then when the condition of getting the thing is not met, your mind's like, well, why do we keep feeling happy? It's not working. Or you don't keep feeling happy, again, because it's not, hi, Ivy, how are you? Nice to see you. Hope you're enjoying the video. So yeah, guys, it's really, the intense emotion, remove all that other layer of shit. It's actually not that bad. Surrender to what's happening. Lean into it. Feel your fucking feelings. You keep denying them. Your feelings are like, okay, like, I know you know about us now. I know you know why we're here. You don't want to deal with us, that's fine. I don't take it personally, but we're not fucking going anywhere. They're not like, oh, you're the type of person that doesn't like to deal with feelings. Oh, I'm sorry for bothering you. I'll go away. No, they're like, yoo-hoo, like, we'll be here. We're chilling. We got all the time in the world. We've been here for a long time. We can be here. We'll be here. They're not going to go anywhere. The lessons, if you don't want to see the lesson in what's happening, and when I say lesson, I don't mean the universe or God making something happen for you to teach you a fucking lesson. I just mean, again, your reality is just neutral feedback of your experience. Your positive manifestations are not rewards for your positivity. Your negative manifestations are not punishments for your negativity. It's just neutral feedback, good and bad. There's a lesson there. What shit that's not happening, it's like, okay, I created this somehow. What's the lesson here? The same thing with the lessons. They don't take it personally, your rejection of them personally. They're like, oh, you don't want to learn lessons and you don't care? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll go away now. No. You can resist the lesson of what's happening right now, and it's fine, and eventually things might work themselves out or whatever, but the energy didn't change, and you'll probably, again, you'll manifest something new to show you the energy again. The mental chatter, Ivy, mental chatter, that voice in your head is never going to stop talking. It doesn't have to get in the way of feeling your feelings. The only thing that gets in the way of feeling our feelings is we don't want to feel them, because we don't want to feel them because they feel shitty. No one wants to feel really like, oh, I love feeling my feelings. I love feeling my sadness. No, nobody likes that. But this is the way how I am with negative feelings. If they're there, they're there. You got to fucking deal with them. It doesn't matter if you wish they weren't there. It doesn't matter if you think you shouldn't feel this way by now because of all the lessons you've learned. Oh, I should this, should that. It doesn't fucking matter. If you feel a certain way, if a feeling's there, it's there. And you could either deal with it or not deal with it. Your mind could tell you, I don't want to deal with it, and you'd be like, I'm going to deal with it anyway. Or you could be like, yeah, you're right, mind. I don't like feeling these icky feelings. You're right. Let's just suppress, deny. Let's go do a workbook. Let's try a new program. Oh, that love spell. Let's go to the fucking store, buy candles, and we'll make a day of it. And you know what I mean? Again, it really comes down to doing what you know you need to do or listening to your mind. Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. I'm glad that you are enjoying the video and my approach and my style. I know I ruffle a lot of feathers in the conscious creation crowd, I'm sure, because I say stuff that they probably don't want to hear. But like I always say, my LOA people are the people that you want to prioritize your emotional healing and your well-being and your happiness, because that's all you really want. Knowing the stuff comes anyway. Again, you can't help but create. When I got a bunch of stuff working on my energy in very surface ways, and yeah, I manifested a lot of awesome stuff. Emotionally, I wasn't miserable or anything, but I wasn't really any much better off because the lack of the stuff was never the problem. When I prioritized the true healing and dealing with my shit and working on my energy for the sake of just my energy, true story, the stuff still came anyway because it has no choice. I promise you, I'll never discourage. If I didn't think you should care about getting stuff, I wouldn't talk about it teaching like the law of attraction. Of course, our primary interest in it is influencing our physical reality. If we didn't care, we wouldn't care about a teaching like this, right? We live in the world, we get up, we live in the world every day. It's totally fine to want certain things in that experience, and there's no reason not to have them. But again, when the journey is just about trying to get the stuff you don't have, especially in very, very challenging times, pain, 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 nothing but pain and suffering, and it doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, if you're going through a really emotionally challenging time, be kind to yourself too. You might have to pull back on commitments. You have to start saying no when you're saying yes and you really want to be saying no. Let yourself, if you have a day where you're like, you know what, I don't feel like doing anything for my business, I want to binge watch a show on Netflix, do it. Let yourself do it. It's fine. You know, you just, follow your intuition too with stuff like this and what you think will help you feel better. Again, just overall, just in a general way. Don't always make everything about, let me try to get my stuff, let me try to change my reality so these feelings will go away. It's painful when you do it that way. And you can change your energy in surface ways doing that. You don't need a perfect vibe and you could do it, but it's painful. And if there's strong emotion that you're really not dealing with, something else will happen in the future to bring it up again. So it's just like, if it's there now, just try to deal with it. And yeah, so that's another thing too with this is just, if you need to pull back from certain things. I remember when I was in like my health issue, for example, a lot of days I just felt really shitty, like in physical health stuff in particular, right? It's challenging to look, it could be hard to look past it sometimes. And with my business stuff, if I didn't feel like creating content, I didn't make myself do it. And if I felt inspired to, I did. And I actually kept up with my content creation pretty regularly. And the reason I probably was able to do that was I gave myself permission not to, and I didn't put any pressure on myself to keep doing it. So then naturally the inspiration came anyway, and I just did stuff. But you have to prioritize your healing and the processing of this emotion in any way you can. And I know we have life, we have jobs, we have kids, we have different responsibilities. You might not be able to just hold yourself up for 3 weeks and just tend to your emotional well-being, but you probably have a lot more time to tend to it than you think if you make it a priority. So if part of your busy day includes, fucking putzing around on your phone for 3 hours on YouTube and social media, you could spend your time, you could do other stuff with that time. You know what I'm saying? So just, if it's important enough to you, the space in your day opens up if you want to make it a priority. So yeah, guys, that's it with that. Surrender, lean in, make it about the processing of the emotion and the healing. You can't prioritize the getting of the stuff, especially in these sorts of challenging times. Again, your feelings, they're just messengers. Don't be afraid of them. Let yourself feel them. The more shit you're dealing with right now and the more emotional charge you have, the greater the opportunity for really, really big transformation, really big healing, really big release. And it's kind of a good thing. It's just about think about throughout these periods of time, your mind's going to look at things in a way that's going to cause suffering and resistance, and it's going to want to fight and feel sorry for yourself and whatever. I'm not going to feel better until things change. Think about how the spirit filter or God, whatever, I like spirit filter. How would that entity see what's happening? And do your best as much as you can to keep that at least in the periphery of your mind. the forefront as much as possible, but at least somewhere in the background have that moving around. You know what I'm saying? And again, the suffering decreases and the emotion becomes much more manageable. So yeah, that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day or night. For more information about my coaching services and products and more content, check out my website, livelifemadeorder.com. Bye-bye.